A faint purple sphere was filmed drifting through the Amazon rainforest, moving with an intelligence that made the entire jungle fall silent. The hiker who recorded it said the object felt aware of him before it vanished in a single blink. Experts still cannot explain what he captured, and here's the disturbing part. This was only one sighting. Similar reports soon appeared far beyond the Amazon, each one stranger and more impossible than the last. Whatever this is, it is spreading. The UFO that landed in the Amazon. Deep inside the Amazon rainforest, a man was hiking when he suddenly noticed a faint purple glow moved between the trees. He thought it was an insect, maybe a reflection. However, when it drifted closer, he saw it was a perfect floating sphere that was smooth, silent, and alive in a way that made his stomach twist. The sphere glided through the jungle as if it understood every branch and every vine. It slowed when he moved, as if watching him. His fear was so strong that his legs shook, but he still pulled out his phone to record. The sphere hovered just above the soil. Light did not bounce off it. The light disappeared into it, leaving the plants under it unnaturally dark. The entire forest fell silent. There were no insects and no birds, and everything felt wrong. Then he took one step closer. The sphere slipped back while still facing him and still studying him. Then it vanished. There was no sound and no movement. It was simply erased from reality in a single blink. Without the footage, he would think he imagined it. When the video spread online, experts from around the world tried to explain it. Physicists said it did not match any known natural event. Drone engineers said no technology on Earth could move in that manner. Investigators admitted they had no answer. The darkest part came later when analysts slowed down the footage frame by frame. The sphere did not only watch the man, it reacted to his heartbeat. Every time his fear increased, the sphere moved closer, and it behaved as though fear was the signal it had been searching for. Metallic alien encounter. Late one night, deep in an isolated stretch of forest, a lone hiker stumbled upon something that would haunt him long after he left those woods. Guided only by his smartphone, which he used both as a flashlight and also to record everything he saw, he noticed a strange metallic glint on the forest floor. A large machine-like object was partly buried in the leaves, smooth, cold, and shaped unlike anything he had ever seen. This wasn't a scrap metal or a discarded tool, it was so much more. Its surface was seamless, almost too perfect, as if it were crafted with technology far beyond anything familiar. As he filmed the object, he noticed that something moved in the darkness further away from him. Terrified, he swung the lens around and froze. Between the trees stood a pale humanoid figure, tall and impossibly thin, its skin almost glowing under the weak light. Its eyes were enormous, almond-shaped and completely black, staring directly at him without blinking. For a single chilling second, neither of them moved. It was as if both were waiting for the other to make the first move. Then, without sound or warning, the figure vanished, slipping into the darkness as if it had never existed. The hiker whirled around, scanning the woods, but the forest was silent. Only the metallic object remained, cold and unmoving on the ground. He even moved closer, hoping to see more signs of the figure, but he found nothing, not even a footprint. When the footage was released, analysts were left stunned. The creature's proportions didn't match any known animal, and the object beside it defied conventional explanation. Dominican UFO debris. The Dominican Republic was thrown into shock and confusion when a massive metallic object came hurtling from the sky, streaking across the clouds before disappearing behind a cluster of rural farmlands. Witnesses described a deafening roar, followed by a violent tremor that shook nearby homes. Within minutes, crowds rushed toward the impact site, only to find something no one could easily explain. Partially buried in the soil was a huge, misshapen metallic mass, still smoldering from the fall. Thick smoke curled upward as if the object were burning from the inside. Its surface looked rough and uneven, covered in strange ridges and unnatural bumps. There were no markings, no bolts, no seams, nothing resembling fragments of a satellite or aircraft. It appeared alien in every sense of the word. Authorities arrived quickly, surrounding the area and pushing locals back. They brought equipment, cordoned off the field, and refused to answer any questions. Officials described the object only as a recovered item, offering no clarification and avoiding the word debris entirely. Their secrecy only fueled the growing tension. Meanwhile, online theories exploded. Experts and enthusiasts began analyzing photos and videos taken before the site was locked down. Many argued that the object's shape and impact pattern did not match any known space junk or re-entering satellite. Others claimed the unusual bumps and the glow beneath the surface suggested advanced materials not found on Earth. So much time has passed, but the public is still waiting for answers. But for many, this mysterious object remains the strongest evidence yet of something far beyond human origin. Hovering light in the Netherlands. Deep within a quiet mountainside in the Netherlands, a video surfaced that left experts, skeptics, and everyday viewers stunned. What began as a simple morning nature recording quickly transformed into one of the most mysterious pieces of footage ever captured. In the clip, a strange object was seen hovering silently above the treetops. It was perfectly still, with no visible wings, blades, or propulsion. From its center, a brilliant beam of light poured downward relentlessly. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then suddenly, a small white orb appeared on the ground. It rose slowly, moving directly upward through the beam of light with unnatural precision, as though being pulled by an invisible force. The orb continued its ascent until it disappeared into the belly of the hovering craft. Almost immediately after the orb vanished, the object reacted. Its entire surface flickered with an intense burst of white light, so blinding that the camera struggled to focus. Then, in a single instant, the object shot straight upward with impossible speed, leaving behind no smoke, no sound, and no trace. It simply vanished into the sky. When the footage went viral, analysts struggled to explain it. The movements were too controlled for a drone, the light too strong for any known aircraft, and the orb completely unprecedented. The forest encounter raised the question: what exactly had been retrieved that night? No one knows to date. Snowflake floating mystery. The footage, recorded deep within a forested area in Arizona, showed a strange, spacer-like object suspended in midair. There were no ropes, no wires, no branches supporting it. It simply hung there, floating, as though gravity itself had stopped working on that single point in space. The object drifted from side to side, gliding with an unsettling smoothness. Yet the trees surrounding it remained completely still. No wind, no pressure, no movement. Nothing reacted to it. When the person filming zoomed in, the mystery deepened. The surface of the object appeared metallic, but not like any metal seen on Earth. It had an almost fluid sheen, shifting slightly as light touched it. The texture was flawless. No seams, no bolts, no marks of construction. Experts who later reviewed the footage noted that its reflective pattern behaved unlike steel, titanium, or even experimental alloys. It looked engineered. But by what? So far, no official explanation has been offered. Tree hugger. What began as an ordinary night at a park in France quickly spiraled into one of the most unsettling viral videos of the year. A group of friends were hanging out near a cluster of tall trees, joking around and recording casual clips for social media. But their laughter faded when one of them noticed something shifting behind a tree in the distance. Expecting a stray animal, they zoomed in and kept filming completely unaware of what they were about to capture. As the camera steadied, a pale figure was seen lurking behind the trunk of a big tree. Its head was unusually large, its eyes dark and fixed directly on the group. The creature moved with unnerving caution, almost studying them, as if deciding whether to reveal more of itself or slip back into hiding. For several seconds, it simply peeked around the bark, its face expressionless, yet unmistakably intelligent. The friends froze. Then panic struck. They immediately stopped recording and bolted, dropping their snacks, their bikes, anything that slowed them down. Only later, after reaching safety, did they replay the footage. What they saw was far worse than anything they had imagined. When the video hit the internet, it exploded. Within days, similar sightings were reported across other regions in France, each describing a pale, large-headed figure lurking near wooded areas, always watching, always silent. Experts debated whether the original encounter was an isolated event or evidence of something larger, coordinated, and far more sinister moving through the country's forests. Daylight sky mystery. In the middle of an otherwise ordinary afternoon, crowds in a busy city suddenly froze as something unusual appeared in the sky. A strange metallic object was gliding silently overhead, smooth, steady, and unnervingly controlled. It reflected the sunlight like a polished mirror, yet there were no wings, no engines, and no visible means of propulsion. It simply moved, effortlessly. People on the street stopped in their tracks, pointing upward in disbelief. Some pulled out their phones, scrambling to capture what they were witnessing. Others simply stared, confused and speechless, as the object drifted across the open sky with an almost deliberate grace. Too slow to be an aircraft, too precise to be a balloon, and far too steady to be a drone battling the wind. Within minutes, the clips hit social media, and once posted, they spread like wildfire. Analysts, aviation experts, and UFO enthusiasts poured over every frame. The object's smooth metallic sheen, its perfect glide path, and its complete lack of sound left many baffled. Some suggested experimental military technology. Others believed it was an atmospheric phenomenon. But most agreed on one point. This was unlike anything normally seen in broad daylight. The more the footage circulated, the more people came forward claiming they too had seen the strange craft that day, each describing the same silent glide, the same unnatural shine, the same eerie calmness in the air as it passed overhead. Walmart metallic UFO. A recent clip took the internet by storm, capturing what many believed is one of the clearest UFO sightings in years. The video began in the parking lot of a Walmart, where shoppers had been going about their normal day. But then, the camera tilted upward, and everything changed. Hovering quietly above the lot was a massive metallic object, motionless in the sky. Its surface reflected the daylight like polished steel, and along its sides, blue lights glowed softly, pulsing in a rhythm that felt almost deliberate. Despite its enormous size, the craft remained completely steady as it glided through the night sky. People in the parking lot stopped what they were doing. Some stared, others whispered nervously. Many pulled out their phones, recording the surreal moment as the object sailed above them, silent, steady, and undeniably present. When the clip hit TikTok, it spread with lightning speed. Millions watched it within hours, and soon the footage appeared everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, news feeds, forums, and UFO communities worldwide. The debates began immediately. Was it a drone, a military prototype, a hoax, or something else entirely? Aviation experts noted that its size and stability defied typical aircraft behavior. Engineers pointed out that the blue illumination resembled no known propulsion system. And UFO enthusiasts? They insisted it was exactly what it appeared to be, a craft not from this planet. With no official explanation offered, the mystery only deepened, and viewers were left wondering what had truly hovered over that Walmart parking lot. Windmill saucer gliding. This footage opened with a peaceful view of a countryside windmill turning steadily in the breeze. Everything appeared normal until the camera shifted slightly, revealing something extraordinary drifting into frame. A massive saucer-shaped object was seen gliding slowly through the sky, passing dangerously close to the windmill's spinning blades. Its surface looked metallic, smooth, and perfectly curved, reflecting sunlight in cold flashes as it moved. The craft made no sound, no vibrations, no sudden changes, just a steady, controlled glide that felt strangely calm, yet deeply unnatural. The windmill continued spinning, completely undisturbed by the enormous object drifting past it. And that was what unsettled viewers the most. Nothing reacted. Not the windmill. Not the nearby trees. Not even the air around it. The saucer moved as though it belonged to an entirely different layer of reality. The person recording stayed silent, their breathing faint as they zoomed in, struggling to understand what they were witnessing. The clarity of the footage left little room for doubt. Every contour and reflection on the craft was visible in the bright daylight, giving the moment an eerie sense of authenticity. When the clip was finally uploaded, it spread instantly. Analysts praised the steady camera work and the rare daylight visibility. UFO researchers called it one of the most compelling daytime encounters ever documented. UFO filmed from plane window. A passenger recording from his plane window got the shock of his life when his camera caught something bewildering. At first, everything looked normal, just clouds, sky, and the steady wing of the aircraft. Then, without warning, a metallic object shot into frame. It was shaped like a kite, but nothing about it behaved like one. It moved with sharp precision, cutting across the sky at a speed no conventional craft or lightweight toy should have been capable of. Passengers gasped as the object streaked past the plane, glinting in the sunlight before disappearing into the distance. There had been no wobbling, no drifting, none of the unpredictable motion you would expect from anything resembling a kite. Instead, its path was controlled, intentional, almost calculated. It flew parallel to the aircraft for a brief second, matching its altitude with impossible ease, as though inspecting it. And then it surged forward, accelerating far beyond the plane's cruising speed. Viewers later questioned everything about the encounter. What kind of kite could ascend to the upper atmosphere, withstand those winds, and maintain such perfect stability? What kind of object could fly that fast without producing any visible exhaust, vibration, or distortion in the surrounding air? The footage raised more questions than answers, leaving experts, skeptics, and believers alike grasping for explanations. UFO sightings in Chile. This video was recorded by Chilean naval officers flying along the coast of Santiago, and from the moment it surfaced, it spread through defense circles and civilian communities with equal intensity. What the officers captured was no ordinary sight. Far ahead of the aircraft, a mysterious object cut through the sky, massive, silent, and deeply unnerving. At first glance, it looked like a projectile, something fired from an unknown source. But the longer the footage played, the more the object resembled the exposed side of a colossal craft, as though part of a much larger structure were gliding just beyond the horizon. Yet it was too far away, too distant for a clear scientific breakdown. The officers zoomed in as much as their equipment allowed, but the shape remained elusive, solid, angular, and deliberate in its movement. Even with the uncertainty, there was enough detail to be unsettling, enough to make viewers question what exactly hovered above the Chilean coast that day, and what it implied. Chile is one of the few countries whose government openly invests heavily in UFO and extraterrestrial research. Their military has documented countless sightings, and their aviation authorities take unknown aerial phenomena seriously. But even with their advanced monitoring systems and years of recorded encounters, no one, neither pilots, analysts, nor government researchers, could determine what those naval officers witnessed. The object eventually drifted into the clouds, vanishing without a trace. 10-foot humanoids in Brazil. This next video was by a group of local hikers exploring a remote island roughly 3 kilometers off the coast of southeast Brazil. What they captured stunned not only the region, but eventually the entire country. Standing at the top of a rugged hill were 2 towering humanoid figures, each nearly 10 feet tall. Their silhouettes were unmistakable: long limbs, elongated heads, and a posture that looked almost human, yet undeniably wrong. At first, the figures remained still, as if observing something beyond the hikers' view. The group zoomed in, trembling as they realized the scale of what they were seeing. These were not people. Their proportions were too extreme, their stance too rigid, and their sheer height impossible to dismiss. Moments later, the beings began descending the hill, moving far faster than any normal human could. Their strides were enormous, and every step covered shocking amounts of ground. It was as though gravity barely applied to them. When the footage reached authorities, the Brazilian government, known for taking UFO phenomena seriously, did not immediately dismiss the encounter. In fact, officials publicly referred to the figures as strange beings, an unusual admission that stirred even more fear and fascination. Analysts attempted to stabilize and enhance the footage, but the clarity only made the sight more disturbing. The humanoids never returned to the hilltop, and no further sightings were confirmed. But for many, the video remained undeniable proof that something unearthly has been watching from the island. Green UFO in Iran. What began as an ordinary evening quickly shifted into something far more unsettling when a circular object appeared high above the skyline in the bustling city of Tehran, Iran. It emitted a bright green light, so vivid, so intense that people on the streets stopped in their tracks. At first, many assumed it was a drone or a flare, but within seconds it became clear that this object behaved like neither. The UFO hovered silently, maintaining a steady position as though observing the city below. Its edges glowed with a smooth, almost liquid shimmer, and the light it cast pulsed in slow, rhythmic intervals. Witnesses reported feeling a strange tension in the air, a heaviness that made the moment feel unreal, as if Tehran itself had frozen in expectation. The recording that surfaced online showed the craft clearly. There was no shaking, no distortion, just a perfectly defined disk suspended against the night sky. It was one of the clearest UFO recordings made at the time, and that clarity only deepened the mystery. Even more astonishing, reports soon emerged from residents in other parts of the city. They claimed to have seen the same glowing disk, but at a much higher altitude, drifting steadily across the sky. After several minutes, the object glided away, accelerating smoothly without a sound. It vanished into the distance, leaving behind questions that no expert could answer. Ukrainian soldiers see UFO. During the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, Ukrainian soldiers experienced a sighting that left them both stunned and terrified. While flying reconnaissance missions over contested territory, they recorded a massive rectangular object hovering high in the sky. Its shape was precise, unnatural, and ominously still, as if it defied gravity itself. The soldiers initially assumed it might be a new Russian aircraft, an advanced weapon they had not yet encountered, but the reality proved far more unsettling. Moments later, the object began moving. Slowly at first, then with alarming speed, it approached their aircraft. With each passing second, it grew larger in their viewfinder, dwarfing the plane and filling the sky. The pilots' hearts pounded as they struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. Its movement was unlike any conventional craft. It had no wings, no rotors, no visible means of propulsion, yet it closed the distance with terrifying precision. Just as suddenly as it had approached, the object accelerated away, vanishing into the clouds in an instant. Speculation ran rampant among the troops. Could it have been a secret Russian experimental craft, or something entirely unknown from far beyond Earth? Whatever it was, the encounter left them deeply shaken. Military UFO sighting. The sighting had first occurred in May 2024, but the footage did not become public until June 2025. What was revealed sent shockwaves through both the defense community and the public. Military personnel had captured a peculiar object soaring through the sky at impossible speeds, cutting through clouds with unnerving precision. From the very first frame, it was clear that nothing about this craft resembled any conventional aircraft. There were no wings, no rotors, no visible means of propulsion, yet it remained perfectly stable at high altitudes and top velocity. The footage was reviewed repeatedly by aviation experts, military analysts, and UFO researchers, all attempting to determine its origin. Every detail was scrutinized: its speed, its flight path, the way it interacted with the clouds around it. Yet every analysis came up empty-handed. There were no signatures of engines, no heat trails, no aerodynamic patterns. When the video was finally released in June 2025, it sparked intense debate. Some argued it was an experimental aircraft of unknown origin. Others suggested it was extraterrestrial, a craft far beyond current human technology. Even now, experts remain baffled. What do you think about these sightings? Comment down below.